We're now live and you may begin.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
No problem.
Welcome everyone to the first meeting of 2021 for the Community Pandemic Recovery Task Force. Hope everyone had great holidays and we're ready to start off the new year. I'd like to call the meeting to order and we'll get through the agenda here. First, I'd like to adopt the agenda that was circulated. I hope everyone had a quick chance to look at it. If someone would like to motion to approve the agenda, Councillor Dunn and Councillor Elmsley, you can second. Thank you. Is there any additions to the agenda at this moment? Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a motion to approve, please. All right, thank you. Moving on, anybody have to declare any pecuniary interest for this meeting? And if there's none now, if any comes up throughout the meeting, please do so declare. Also, along with the agenda was the previous minutes for the, I'm sorry, I'm looking back, November 30th meeting. Did everyone have a quick chance to review it? And I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Penny, is that your hand up motioning? Thank you. And Councillor Richardson. Is there any discussion about the previous minutes? Seeing none, we'll do a motion to approve, please. Thank you. There's an item from the business arising from the previous minutes. Rod, if you can provide an update on the December 1st special council meeting, please.
Sure. I'm just going to highlight. So council met on December 1st for the 2021 capital budget. And in that meeting, there are a couple points relevant to the task force and around the pandemic recovery. So council had previously identified, sorry, I have to go between my screens here, a surplus of just under $3 million from 2019 that was identified for potential allocation to assist with pandemic related expenses or initiatives. And at the December 1st council meeting, that they did pass a resolution that that surplus would be maintained in the city's contingency reserve for the purpose of funding community, economic, and corporate pandemic recovery initiatives. So like I said, that's just under $3 million. Then through the discussion on the 2021 capital budget, some portions of that reserve were used for various initiatives. The two main ones that I'll highlight is the, just trying to find it, 80,000 as a recommendation from the task force was allocated to supplement the 50-50 community program, where the recommendation was to waive that 50% proponent contribution. So the addition of the $80,000 means that applicants could apply for their full project costs, and if successful, they would not have to make their own 50% contribution. So the additional money to that meant that the fund wasn't being reduced in essence, because previously with the 50% contribution, their 50%, if that was waived and the fund wasn't increased, it would actually reduce the total amount of the fund by half. So that funding came from that reserve. As well, the largest chunk was just under $2 million. I believe it was about 1.9 million was allocated from that reserve, contingency reserve as well, to the Colburn Street capital project, Colburn Street in Fenelon Falls capital project, which is strongly linked to from the Economic Recovery Task Force. There are specific recommendations there around certain capital projects. So that was allocated from that reserve as well. And I believe there's one other reserve around from the Economic Task Force recommendation around a boat launch. I lost my spot in here, but there is a specific boat launch. Here it is, the Elliott Falls boat launch and Colson Park boat launches, where a portion of that funding would be coming from the pandemic related portion of the contingency reserve as well. A little bit smaller allocation there. So those funds are supporting those three supporting some of the initiatives recommended from this task force and the Economic Recovery Task Force. Thanks.
Thank you for the update, Rod.
There's one other, if I can add from items arising from the last minute. I just referenced that there's a comment to be from the last minutes from Councillor Ashmore, just about whether or not there'd be changes to the task force contribution or the task force members from council. The task force, the councillors on task force are not being changed. The mayor is leaving the current appointments as they are, so there'll be no change for this task force in the foreseeable future. Thanks.
Thank you, Rod. I was just going to follow up with that. Was there anything else from the business arising that anyone have from on the floor there? Any more questions? Seeing none, we'll look at item number 6, the fund framework update, and I'll go back to Rod for this update, please.
Thanks again, Heather. So we have been working towards, since the last task force meeting, the development of the fund framework, so the Community Pandemic Recovery Fund. That was requested by council, and we have a final draft of the documents and the information. There's a few details that need to be discussed that following the task force meeting and working group, the working group will be getting together to discuss those details, just because the details of the application process and criteria and scoring items that'll be done in a working group instead of in the open task force meeting here. So following that discussion, hopefully that will be finalized, and the goal is to get the task force, or sort of the fund framework terms of reference and application finalized for presentation to council on January 28th for approval, and with council's approval on the 28th, it would be able to be issued and proceed as quickly as possible following that date.
Thank you, Rod, and thank you to all the staff that contributed towards getting all that work done, as well as the task force community members that helped bring everything forward and then put that in the hands of staff. It was definitely a team effort, and we appreciate all those efforts. Moving on to item number 7, the community building workshops update.
Heather,
Amy.
sorry.
Yes.
Just wondered if I could ask a question related to the fund framework.
Sure.
I just wanted to know if, because with the recommendations from the Economic Recovery Task Force, there was another recommendation around a fund, and that was for arts, culture, and heritage. So I just wondered if there is an update in terms of that fund framework. Mostly, I'm just wanting to know if the two would be released at the same time, so that there's clarity for the community, particularly arts, culture, and heritage, so that they would be directing applications to that fund versus the one that we've been working on.
I can probably speak to that. Yes, through the internal discussion we had this last week, included the other city staff on the Economic Recovery Task Force. Their goal is to get their report to council for January 28th as well, to coordinate that in terms of the timing and that process as well. Theirs will likely look a little bit different, that fund, just the framework in terms of the how it might look, but the goal is to get both for the 28th. And just to highlight, just because it's a different this month, normally council meetings are always held on a Tuesday, but the meeting on the 28th is a Thursday this month, just for, that's not a typo, it is Thursday this month. Thanks.
Thanks for the question, Amy. It's good to know that they'll be aligned and be released at similar times, just so then all organizations out in our community are able to choose which one best suits them at that point. So going back to item number 7, the capacity building workshops update, I'll look to Amy for this, please.
Sure, I'll start off, and if anyone wants to add, please do. But we did have, so as everyone recalls, kind of parallel to the discussion about the fund framework would be the idea would be a series of capacity building workshops that would be available. and applicants would be encouraged to participate in those. So we've had different conversations over the last 6 to 8 months about what types of workshops are required. We've had some information from previous surveys, but we wanted to get a bit more specific. So we did prepare with Brenda's help. Brenda prepared a survey for us that would go out through Jumping Kawartha Lakes to the organizations that have been participating and commenting, and also the initial list that we started with way back in June, July, of community organizations. And that survey did go out, and we've had, as of this morning, Brenda sent us an update that 13 responses had been received. So that's great. Just an early result. It's open for a couple of weeks. Maybe I might actually ask Brenda to give us the deadline so we know about that. And I've forgotten. And so even in those initial results, we are seeing a couple standout kind of topic areas that have been prioritized. The one in particular is innovation and out-of-box thinking. So that's great, because that was an area I think the task force had suggested should be prioritized for organizations who participate in this process. So I think a next step, we have a small working group that has been discussing and giving kind of feedback to staff about this. I think a next step then would be that we need to, we'll have the priorities identified. We need to then determine who's delivering these workshops, and so really get into more detailed recommendations about that. And as we have discussed throughout, we would look to the city to see what resources, what expertise is available at the city itself. And then I think the idea is that those of us on the committee from other outside organizations can also contribute ideas potentially of other facilitators that we're aware of, or ourselves could help in different ways. So Linda, is there anything I missed there? Because I know you were at the part, I think Marina was not able to attend the last meeting of our little group, but Linda was there. Was there anything I missed?
Yeah, no, Amy, no, you didn't miss anything. And we had talked about, if Brenda can give us an update, I would suggest, I think the deadline is probably next Friday. Is that, yep, okay. And so Brenda, if you can give us another update, maybe towards the end of the week, the way the survey, the way the update's being released, it tells us kind of which agencies have responded, not what their responses are, but who has responded. And then we can maybe follow up to make sure we have the number and diversity of responses that we're hoping for to be able to base a plan on.
Thanks, ladies. I'll echo Linda and Amy and say, and really encourage all of the task force members to reach out to their networks and ask all of the agencies and those that you know to fill out the information. If decisions are going to be made, it's better to have more information than not enough. So please do that follow up if you know someone or know an organization that can provide some valuable input. So the working group is able to prioritize and move forward and start planning so that folks are able to get what they need as soon as they need it. Was there any questions to follow up with Amy about the survey and anything else? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 8. I understand there's no new business to be brought forward at this point. No new business. Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to share anything with the roundtable discussion? Nothing to add there. Holly and Rod, you can confirm there was no correspondence from last meeting to this meeting. Okay. Item number 11, we're just moving right along. I was looking at the calendar, and I think it would be advantageous to meet following that January 28th council meeting. And sorry, I didn't have the date. If anyone else would, February 1st is that date. If anyone would like to meet sooner as a task force, then we're able to, but I think we can wait until that council meeting and then we can meet, gather together again and move forward with the next steps. Is that good with everybody? February 1st, 10 o'clock? Then there were,
Heather,
sorry,
do you
go.
want 10 or 10:30? Because today's was 10:30. I'm not sure why it was 10:30.
Yeah, let's keep with 10. We've always had 10. And maybe today we just had to adjust to someone.
It was just a
Okay.
conflict today. Sorry for the 10:30
Yeah, no, that's okay.
preparation, but if 10 o'clock works on the first, that'd be good. And just, we should have a better understanding and direction from council from the 28th as well, just to, with the details of the process as well.
Okay. Councilor Elmsley, are you agreeing with 10 or do you have a question?
I did have a question. I had sent a note about Crime Stoppers, and I wondered if anything happened as a result of that.
I think we were waiting to the fund was finalized before we could share any of the news. We can send them their survey as to what they need. I do know someone on that board of directors and have expressed for them to sign in to log in to jump in, so they're able to get our updates and things like that. So they are receiving what gets pushed through on jump in, so they're able to respond in that way.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
You're welcome. If there's not anything else, then if someone would like to make a motion to adjourn. Councillor Dunn. Thank you very much, everybody. So we look forward to seeing you on February 1st at 10 o'clock. Holly will send out the package in advance and we'll go from there. And I hope everyone has a really great rest of the month. Thank you all for your time today and your participation on the task force.
Thanks, Heather.
I just add for those coming to the working group meeting, that it was a separate meeting invitation. So you need to log off here and log back into that one at that time.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rod.